In today's khutbah, in the Arabic part of the khutbah, I talked about this magnificent incident and miracle that happened to Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam at age 4 or 5 during his childhood, which is the opening of the chest of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It is a miraculous incident. It is a supernatural incident that is similar to many miracles that happened during the life of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and we will talk about the narration in detail in a few moments. But I would like to mention that miracles like this, especially this and other miracles, many people and doubters try to shed doubt about incidents like this, because this is something that is supernatural, it's extraordinary, it doesn't happen in our daily life. But we're not talking about a regular human being, we're talking about the mightiest prophet that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has ever sent to this earth. Also, we're not talking about the action and doing of a human being. We're talking about the action and doing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when we talk about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His qudra and His power and His might and His ability, there are no limits. Inna Allah ala kulli shay'in qadir. He's capable of doing everything and anything. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has shown humanity throughout His history, in every nation on this earth, that He has produced or given miracles to His prophets, to the selected people who are in charge of delivering the message of Allah to humanity. The proof and the evidence that Allah sends, لَقَدْ أَرْسَلْنَا رُسُولَنَا بِالْبَيِّنَاتِ. Allah says, I sent my messengers with evidence. And one of the biggest evidence that Allah sends with His prophets are supernatural events, and extraordinary events and miracles such as this. So neither Christians nor Jews or anybody who has a book from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on earth has any right to doubt such incidents, because we know that Isa alayhi salam, Jesus alayhi salam, Isa alayhi salam used to also produce miracles, even bring the dead alive. So how can you believe that a human being can bring someone who is dead alive, or cure somebody who was born as blind and things like this, and not believe a miracle like the one that happened to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Furthermore, this is not the only miracle that happened to Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If we count the miracles of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, some scholars counted them anywhere between 2,000 and 3,000 during his lifetime. We're talking about 63 years of his lifetime. Even before he became a prophet, extraordinary events and miracles like this used to happen to him, to show humanity, people who lived around him, that he was a special person. He has something that is very special and extraordinary about him, that he is selected by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for a mission to come. That made it easy for people to accept him as a prophet when he announced that he has received the revelation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So these are all preparations that Allah gave him, so that people are ready to accept him as a prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we know that the miracles of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam were relayed to us by hundreds of the Sahaba that have witnessed them. If we collect all his miracles, and they are in the thousands, and we collect all the people who narrated those miracles throughout a period of 63 years, and that if we look at each one of them, each figure, each individual of them, as basically a very honest and truthful historian, because they knew that the words that they uttered talking about the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, upon these words, their salvation in this life and the life to come, and whether they go to heaven or to go to hell, will depend on whether they say the truth about this man or they say a lie about him. Okay, so these are the most truthful. Each Sahabi, each companion of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, look at him as the most, amongst the class of the most truthful historians. Now, if you have hundreds of historians that had no way to fabricate thousands of incidents, extraordinary incidents like this, and they basically were spread over a huge, spread over many countries, a huge area of land extending from Sahaba lived when they witnessed Islam spread all the way to China, all the way to Europe, to France, and all the way to end of northern Africa, and into Africa. So those Sahaba basically lived in all these dispersed countries, faraway countries, and each of them relayed what he witnessed during during his life with the Prophet ﷺ. And we find that all the narrations tell us and relate to us thousands of miracles that happened to Prophet ﷺ. There is no way from the historical standpoint to doubt those miracles. Neither you can doubt them logically, because Allah is capable of everything. Neither you can doubt them if you look at the reality of the matter, that Allah has already given miracles to many prophets before him. Neither could you doubt it from the historical standpoint, because we have hundreds of historians, truthful ones, who have relayed this to us, and they had no way to fabricate this. And each one narrated in different wordings and different details from the other one. Anyhow, so we go to that hadith. I will read it to you, and then inshallah we talk about the lessons that we can extract from this incident, inshallah, in the coming khutbah. I will summarize right away. I've already read it in Arabic. The hadith in Sahih, in the authentic book of Muslim, authentic compilation of Imam Muslim, narrated by Anas ibn Malik. He says that the Prophet ﷺ said that Jibreel came to him while he was playing with the children. He was a young child at the time. He says, he put me on my back, he opened my chest, he took my heart out, then he opened the heart and he took a piece from the inside the heart. Alaqa, in some narrations say alaqa sauda, it's a black piece of meat inside the heart. Basically, this is an indication of each one of us has receptors in his heart where the shaitan works upon. So basically, they took these areas in the heart upon which the shaitan is able to whisper and give evil ideas to the person. So they took that part out of my heart, and then he said, this is the portion that shaitan has in your heart. I've taken it out. Then he washed his heart with the water of Zamzam. Then he put it back together. And then Prophet ﷺ got up. He says the children went running to my mother, talking about Halima, because she's his mother through breastfeeding, and he was during the time he was at her care. So they went to her and they told her that Muhammad has been killed, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's what they saw, of course. And then they came, his mother, of course, and the father, her husband, came running, and everybody came running, and they found him, and he was very pale. This is the narration that Anas ibn Malik has mentioned. And Anas ibn Malik says something else. He says, throughout the life of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I could see the markings on his chest from the suturing. So even Allah left a physical marking on the chest of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam that Anas ibn Malik has relayed to us. Another narration by Utbah ibn Abdullah al-Sulami. A man asked the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, tell me about the beginning or the first signs that happened to you. So he told him, and this is basically, yes, this is the first extraordinary and supernatural thing that happened to Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He says, I was in this tribe called Bani Sa'd ibn Bakr. This is where Halima Sa'diyah belongs to. He says, I went with my brother, the son of Halima. He says, we were looking after the sheep, but we forgot to take food with us. So I said to my brother, go and get us some food from our mother, meaning Halima. He says, my brother went, and as I was sitting watching the sheep, I saw like two white, huge, large birds coming towards me, like two big eagles, Nasran. And then they came. We know from other hadith, when they came down, they came in the form of human. When they settled down on earth, they became in the form of human beings. One of them said to the other, is this him? He says, yes, that is him. He says, they took me, they put me on my back, they opened my chest, they took my heart out, they opened my heart, then they took out something black from inside my heart, and one of them said, bring me some water. He brought some water, he cleaned it, he said, bring me some thalj. Thalj is like snow. And he cleaned the inside with this thalj or snow. Then he said, bring me barad. Barad is like hail. It's the solid form of frozen water. He says, and he used that to wash the inside of my heart. He says, then bring tranquility. And he said, he put tranquility in my heart. And then one of them said to the other, suture him up. Then they sutured me, and they sealed it. And then one of them said, and this is something symbolic, he says, put him on one side of the scale and put 1,000 from his ummah, his followers, on the other side of the scale. He says, my side of the scale went down and I was afraid that the 1,000 were going to fall on top of me. And then one of them said to the other, if we take all of his nation, all of his followers, and put them on one side of the scale, the whole ummah till the day of judgment, basically, put them on one side and him on the other side, he would still outweigh them. He says, Prophet ﷺ says, I was so scared and so afraid. I ran to my mother. I told her what happened. Then that's his mother from breastfeeding, Halima. She took him to his real mother, Amina, and she told her what happened. But Amina didn't seem surprised. Amina told her, you know, just before I had him, I saw light coming out of me, and this light extended all the way to Sham, which is basically the part of the land where there's Syria and Palestine today. Inshallah, we'll stop here so we can get time to pray, and then inshallah Asr will come right away. And we'll talk about the lessons that we can extract from this incident, inshallah, in the coming khutbah. Inshallah, just 5 minutes, inshallah, left for Salat al-Asr, if somebody can wait. So if somebody wants to do sunnah, they can do sunnah, but I would like to also add to this miracle of opening the chest of the Prophet ﷺ, another evidence, and I'm saying all these things because we are in a time and a place and an age where so many doubts, shak, shukuk, are being raised to doubt everything that relates to Islam and its prophet and its miracles and its basics and fundamentals. This is the trend nowadays. And that is why I mentioned to you all these kinds of evidence to prove things. When I talked about historical proof that these miracles happened to Prophet ﷺ, and from the natural point of view that many miracles have happened to many prophets before him, and also from the common sense and logical point of view that Allah is capable. He is the one who puts these rules and physical rules that govern everything on this earth, and He is the one who is able and capable of breaking them at any time for any person, for any reason that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala deems necessary. But also from the scientific and medical point of view, nobody at that time ever thought or could imagine that a person can have his chest open, his heart taken out, his heart opened, and then put back together. This was not heard of at any point in history, and was not even imaginable to the people who narrated these stories. Okay? But nowadays we can see this happening every day. Thousands of cases open heart surgeries are being done. Okay? Now, at the time people had so much strong iman, they never doubted these things. Now that we see these things happening in front of our eyes, and human beings are doing it to other human beings, still people are doubting the miracle of the Prophet ﷺ, as if the capability and power of human beings is stronger than the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Astaghfirullah. Not only that, nobody ever thought or knew that human flesh or skin can be sutured back, and this is the medical way now. Up till now, this is the way surgeons do their surgeries. When they're done, they suture layer after layer until everything is back together. Even the Sahaba, during the battles, the many battles they were in during the life of Prophet ﷺ, you will not find a single hadith in which somebody was treated with suturing. Bring me a single hadith in which any Sahabi was injured and they had any idea about suturing. Never. Nobody had an idea. And they didn't have also the antiseptic techniques, and if they sutured him, he would die of infection anyhow, now at that time. But I'm just saying that even Allah has given us scientific evidence that we can see in front of our eyes by the fact that there's open heart surgery, that Prophet ﷺ talked about a technique of suturing and opening the heart and opening the chest, open heart surgery, at a time when this was unimaginable. If your heart is open, then you die. And that's what they thought. The children thought he was killed. But still, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has shown us. What time is it now? Is Asr time already here? Okay, inshallah. We'll stop here. Time for Asr Adhan. Okay. 3 minutes? Okay, I'll talk a little bit more then. Okay, we have a couple more minutes. Okay, 2 more minutes. Also, he said his mother saw light come out from her and go to Asham. Asham is the countries of Syria, Palestine, Jordan, Lebanon, this area. But the center is Jerusalem. The center is Jerusalem, Al-Quds. And scholars say that Islam started in Mecca. But eventually the stronghold and the second coming back of the strength of Islam will be from Ash-Sham, according to the many ahadith, many narrations from Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Even Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, one time he saw that the pillar of the deen, it's like a pillar, was taken from underneath the cushion he was sleeping in, and it was the angels took it to Ash-Sham. The fact that Ash-Sham is a special place, according to the many texts that we have in the Quran and Sunnah, it's also mentioned al-ard al-mubarakah in the Quran, ila al-ard allati barakna fiha lil alamin. The barakah in Ash-Sham, also al-malaika basitatun ajnihataha ala Ash-Sham. In Allah takaffar li bil-Sham wa ahli. Many ahadith about Ash-Sham, that the angels are pleased with the